Welcome to Might in Motion, where we help you navigate your personal and professional goals to manifest them into your deserved career and life path. Here at Might in Motion, we don't make excuses, we do the work and go above and beyond. The Might in Motion podcast brings you guests that will help stretch you out of your comfort zone and push you to improve your goals. Like, comment, and share. This is Might in Motion.
I have the honor to introduce you to Miguel Chavez. If you have not met him before, or if you haven't followed him on Instagram or any of the other channels that he is on, you should. I highly recommend it. He posts some amazing content. He had a really great story. And I know you're still in Florida. It's hot down there. It's not where I'm at. But tell us a little bit about you, about your background.
Absolutely. So let me just try to bring it down into three buckets. As a child, entrepreneurship was in my blood. I have memories at 3 or 5 asking for money at the cash register from my parents' restaurant. So entrepreneurship has always been inside of my DNA, and you can follow it legacies back. My dad, my grandfather, and even before that. So I truly believe it's in my blood. Another thing that I pride myself is, as I was showing before, I graduated from UCF, go Knights and charge on as a software engineer. And I did a good stint corporate America in the software industry. I started as an individual contributor, started leading teams, and then started leading teams of teams. And then, like I said, it was in my DNA. I got the itch. I truly wanted to see what I could do if I put my whole effort into growing a company. And that's where we get into HWD and hard work discipline and the journey I've been helping entrepreneur dads, and in particular, going full circle now on helping entrepreneur dads to have restaurants and bringing that knowledge that I have for all those years between the restaurant and the knowledge of leadership and the knowledge of technology and automation. So kind of bringing everything together and providing that value.
That is really cool, because I think, I've got 20 plus years in corporate America, and the things and the skills that you have as an entrepreneur, if you are a successful entrepreneur, I mean, you're in a bigger company, you're providing a value. And if you really learn that servant leadership, it can transition to an entrepreneurial type role as well. I'm a big proponent of being a servant leader. I can't go anywhere without my team. Can you give me your thoughts on leadership, and maybe like things that you see as being a really good skills for people to learn early on if they're wanting to make that transition?
Oh, absolutely. And I think the first thing that comes to mind, and I want to echo this, is a lot of skills that you learn in leadership, at least inside of like a corporate sense, and you climb the ladder and you do all these things and you network with people and all these things that help you succeed, usually are missing out of an entrepreneurship lens. And I think when you can marry both of those, your experience on one side and the experience of the other side, you truly get a lot of benefit. So I guess I wanted to point that out. It came to me, and I thought I would share that. The second part, at least for leadership, I think you say it the best. It's servant leadership. A lot, and we were talking about this a little bit offline, a lot of what I call managers, because I don't even think they deserve the title of leaders, think their people are there to serve them.
Yes.
They are there to demand and dictate what they should and shouldn't do. And here are the rules, and you're going to follow this. And there's a pending book. And it's like, if you want to be I'm not going to use any curse words, but an a-hole, like I want to write this book. If you want to be an a-hole, be a nice guy. And I think this is the exact concept when it comes to leadership. If you want to truly like get the most out of your people and squeeze the ever living penny out of them, like thinking about it backwards, you have to serve them.
Yes.
Because if you serve them first, they'll serve you. If you get in the trenches when like war is going down and you have to, like buckle up your chin strap and go
Yeah.
for it, your people will remember that and they'll go the extra mile for you.
Yeah.
Opposed to those managers that look, oh, I'm going to squeeze the ever living stuff like out of my staff, and they don't get the most. Ironically enough, they do not get the most. The person that's there to serve their team, ironically enough, gets the most. And a sequel to the book that I'm thinking about is like, if you want to be an a-hole husband, be a great husband, because it's the same thing inside of any relationship.
Yeah.
If you want to get something, it is in the nature of the fabric of the universe we are in. You have to give. And because you give, then you'll get something back.
Right.
And honestly, that's the main takeaway is serving your people first, making sure no barriers are in their way, and just being able to be there. And then I guess just a cherry on top of this conversation is individualization. Not everyone is led the same way. Not everyone is communicated in the same way. And not everyone needs the same things.
Yes.
And if you can learn that early on in your career, even as an individual contributor, because to me, leadership is not just up, down. It's also down, up.
And side to side.
And so, oh, absolutely. And you can lead your leader. You can help them lead. You can help your team. And just because you don't have the title manager or leader or supervisor or whatever title you want, does not mean that you're not a leader. A lot of leaders can be led without the title. And honestly, I don't necessarily look at titles when it comes to leadership. So understanding that every single person is an individual and making sure you understand how they communicate and what's the best way, I think it goes a long way inside of leadership.
So one of the things that we talk about a lot, and it's been kind of a recurring theme in these calls, these lives that I've had, is how, and you've mentioned it, it's relationships, but everything's connected. How your relationship at home with your significant other or with your other friends or family can have a direct impact with your business life, be that within a company or running your own company. And then that also is impacted by your physical well-being and that mental clarity that comes with, that physical side and really that emotional side. And you've shared some of your journey. Like I think when we met at a lunch table at a conference, if I remember correctly, and I think you were doing 75 hard at the time, or we're getting ready to start. I can't remember, but you've shown like a lot of your progress physically by just going through that 75 hard program and the mental clarity it's given you as well. Can you share a little bit about how that's changed you, not only physically, but in your business and in your home life?
Absolutely. I think 75 hard was probably one of the best decisions that I've done. And one of the things that I don't necessarily talk a lot about is this consistency that I had on just finishing things. And I knew as soon as I started 75 hard that I was going to accomplish it.
Yep.
Like there was no doubt in my mind. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't know if I should start because I don't know if I'll finish it. That thought did not cross my mind. But it was surprising to me how much I got out of it by going through it. And yes, if you go on my Instagram, you'll see my physical transformation. I lost 35 pounds in 75 days. But that's just the outside.
Right.
It's the inside that truly changed. I genuinely figured out how much I was leaving on the table. I thought I was going hard, or I thought I was doing a lot. I thought I was, doing the best that I could. And honestly, no, I wasn't. There was a lot being left on the table, a lot for my wife, a lot inside of my mentality, a lot in my physicality. And honestly, that's what I got the most out of 75 hard is that mental upgrade of, no, you're not going as hard as you can or as tough as you can or doing as much work as you can. And then the other thing that came out of that is for the longest time, I had this belief that I was an alcoholic. And not to underplay it by any means, but it was a belief that haunted me for a very long time. And on day 22 of 75 Hard, I planted my flag. I said, this is the last day I drink because in 75 Hard, you can't drink. But on day 22.
I certainly hope you weren't drinking for the first 22.
Exactly. But I planted my flag and said, no more alcohol in my life. And that opened my mind because I had given too much power to that, saying that, you know, I have this problem and I don't know how to fix it, and just making a lot of excuses. And that's probably the number one thing that came out of that. And a lot of unlocking of my brain. And like you said, it affected my business. It affected my relationship with my wife. It affected my health. It affected the clarity that I have. And honestly, really pushed me forward on saying, I really want to take this company to the next level.
Yeah.
And made me put my notice on a very great job. And a shout out to Accesso and anyone that's here that might be from Accesso. I love the company. If anyone's looking for a software a role or does anything inside of software, Accesso is a great company, and I will always vouch for them because it was an amazing role I was in that I just told myself it was time to do what I needed to do inside of my own company.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like a lot of times people talk about how we have these stories. There's these stories that we have told ourselves. And when you break the story, and it could be as simple, I think you posted this. I think you talked about, it may have been a few days ago. You had this story that you were an alcoholic, and you've changed it to, I just don't drink.
Yes.
Right? I just don't drink. And I know a ton of people who just don't drink, right? And so I love how you've kind of phrased that in such a personal way. To me, it really resonated. I was like, man, and I've heard other people say it, right? And what story are we telling ourselves? Or what trauma do we identify ourselves with? And when you take that away, you say, okay, I'm no longer that trauma. I'm no longer that story. You release yourself to go do something amazing. And I don't know what that is, right? It could be a career, it could be whatever, but you release yourself from that. You release that burden, all that capacity of energy you now can put to something else completely different.
Absolutely. And I think, honestly, there was two stories that I told myself in this realm. One was, I'm an alcoholic. And I truly believe that. I believe that I don't, by no means am I trying to underplay alcoholism and the disease that it is within itself, both mental and physical. By no means underplay that. It is something that impacted my life in many ways, in many shapes, and that still impacts a lot of family members inside of my family. So by no means am I trying to underplay it. But what I do want to say is this story that I told myself and that I believed really held me back in a way that I describe it. It's like there was a dragon with its foot on top of me. And no matter what I could do, no matter what I did, it had me. And as soon as I made that mental switch of what you're saying, right? Like, I'm not an alcoholic that's trying to quit. And honestly, I don't necessarily talk about myself as an alcoholic. By no means. I am what I like to say in a previous life, in a previous season of mine, possibly, yes, I was an alcoholic. In the season in the life that I'm in, I'm just a person that doesn't drink. And that story of being able to transfer it from, oh, I'm an alcoholic to I'm just a person that doesn't drink. Like you said, like there's plenty of people that don't drink. My in-laws don't drink. They might have one wine on Christmas. And when I was able to what would this person do at a sporting event? What would this person do at a bar? What would this person do at a restaurant? Because all these places were places that I grabbed a beer. And when I was able to click that story to this new identity that I had built for myself, it truly opened my eyes that I don't have to struggle to say no. Like, oh, no, I'm trying to quit. No, I just don't drink. And if someone has, because some people might have a feeling like, oh, why don't you drink because of this, this, and that? That's more their problem than it is mine.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like, thank you for sharing your insecurities with me. I didn't ask for that. So that was definitely one story that I told myself, that I was an alcoholic and I couldn't switch it.
Hmm.
So thank goodness for Sean Whalen and his crew and his community, and opening my eyes to 75 Hard, which I did not know before
Yeah.
joining his community. And I give thanks to God and the universe to opening my eyes to 75 Hard, because going through that journey really opened my eyes to say, hey, what have I been doing with my life? What kind of
Right.
story and excuses have I done? And then real quick, the second story that I told myself, which is the story that I'm living right now, is I would always say, if I ever stop drinking, I'm gonna be a bad
Uh-huh.
MFer, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna be a bad person. I'm gonna be like the most elite of elite, and because I basically ingrained that into myself, I am living the most amazing life that I have ever lived, and I'm most like grateful that I told myself that
Yeah.
story, because now that story is becoming fruition. So if you ever struggle with something, I guess that's an advice that I have is like attach yourself to the story that's coming after that, because once
Yeah.
you
Oh,
finish that first story, that next story will automatically play, and that's what's giving me the power to live this life that I'm living.
I love that. Like what you just said, right? Attach yourself to the story that is coming. That's
Yes,
profound, right? Like people talk about, oh, you're just gonna speak it in the universe, and like these magical fairies are gonna show up, right? And it's all gonna be like, no. But when you start like saying repetitively, I'm a bad MFer, right? Or I am like for me, one of the things that I like to say on repeat is I build positive legacies. Full stop. Now, that translates itself into a lot of different things, right? Like I want to build a positive legacy for my daughters, right? I want to build positive legacies for the people that are on my team. I want them to be successful. I want them to grow and flourish. And I've been privileged enough to see people go and get promoted into director, senior director, VP, SVP type roles that were at one point in time in my life were on my little teams, that I was on. And it's like, man, that's really cool. It's really cool to know that there's like those threads in the universe and you just never know. And so I love that thought process of, tell yourself the story that is coming and believe it. Believe in that story that's coming. Well,
absolutely.
can you tell us a little bit more about hard work discipline, how it came about, and maybe a little bit more about what is it for the folks that are on that may not have heard of it before if they haven't followed you yet?
Oh, absolutely. So, hard work discipline, the name itself, well, it's the company that I run, but the name itself means a lot to me, because there's a quote that I just posted from Denzel Washington, and it goes something like this: without commitment, you won't start. But more importantly, without consistency, you won't finish. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's exactly what this name represents. Hard work, doing the things that not a lot of people want to do, right? It's being
Yep.
committed to do what a lot of people don't want to do. And that's great. That's the first part of the equation. And then the second part, which a lot of people tend to, miss, is the discipline to do it for forever. I think Alex from Mercy says this. He's very proud on this belief that he has. He's like, if I can't do it for forever, then I won't do it. So
Yeah.
that's why he doesn't go on diets. That's why he doesn't do X, Y, and Z. He lives a lifestyle that is. And it's something that I've adopted for myself. Like if I can't do it for forever, it's not worth it. I'm not here for a diet. I'm not here to trim or whatever. I'm here to live this life.
Yep.
And sorry, that I just wanted to do a little bit about the name, but what we do is we're a coaching company. We both have a community and the coaching side. So in the community, we did start with just entrepreneur dads, but we did see that we had a little bit more intrigue from both guys that are not dads
Yep.
and women entrepreneurs. So we have a little bit of community that we're growing out on just entrepreneurship and high performers, either people that are in the middle of their entrepreneurship journey or people that want to do a transition, that have been in either corporate or been doing different things that want to do the transition. So it's a support group, it's a community. we help each other out. If someone needs a shout out, or if someone needs different skills, because we're not
Mhm.
all made the same, right? We
Right.
have people that are good at advertisement. We have people that are good at X, Y, and Z, and we can like help each other out. So we have the community itself. And then on the coaching side, we help entrepreneur dads grow successful businesses. And in more particular, recently, we've been niching down to help restaurant owners, restaurant entrepreneur dads, because both myself and the other coach that we have, Hector Senior, which is my dad as well, combined, we have 35 years plus of restaurant experience, both running them, owning them, operating them, goods, bads, and all in between.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love how there's kind of this overarching theme of entrepreneurial focus, but that you've got, you know, certain, I don't know, like lines, right? That go deeper. And
Yes.
I think that's really, really cool. And from a restaurant owner perspective, I mean, that is a tough business to be in. I mean, it is tough. And so it's something where I think you mentioned there's learn from some of the mistakes. We might have talked about this online, but you have the opportunity to help people learn through maybe mistakes that you or your father, whoever, have made in the past, and learn from that, so that those mistakes may not be repeated for that person who's is new maybe to that industry, right? So that's really cool.
Absolutely. And in particular, a lot of, at least from our experience, a lot of people that open restaurants are, they come from different aspects of life, right? They
Yep.
might have been a chef before. So they're good at cooking the food, they're good at providing the value, but the business side is not necessarily there, right?
Yeah.
Or they came up the ranks, right? They were a bass boy, they were a dishwasher, and then they became a waiter, then a leader or manager, and they're like, why am I running this for someone else if I could be running my own? And a lot good comes from the industry, but then you're missing the business sense.
Yep.
How do I market? How do I get more people? How do I get the people that are here coming in again, and really building this big, what we call an ROS. So we all know what a POS is, right? Point of sale. All
Yep.
restaurants have them, even industries, right? Like
Oh yeah.
Walmart, all of them. You
Oh
have a
yeah.
POS. Well, we did a play on words, and we called it an ROS, which is a restaurant operating system. It's a
Yeah.
whole manual that helps you run the restaurant, from, the momentum, the meetings you should have, you shouldn't have, advertisement, how to get the correct team members. Because a
Hmm.
lot of people like feel like, because it's a waiter role, all people shouldn't care about it. And it's no, you want the correct people in the correct
Yes.
places. And yes, they might be a waiter right now, and by no means, waiters make good money. Like, I'm not trying to underplay that. I was a waiter for a very long time, and I
Yeah.
made a killing, right? So by no means am I trying to underplay that. But that waiter might be your manager, might be your
Yeah.
manager at your third location, right? That manager might be your regional manager. And
Right.
if you start looking at careers and helping people out, you'll definitely start making a pipeline. And to be fair, not everyone wants to stay in the industry business, right? But the
Yeah.
skills that you are able to teach someone inside of the restaurant business might help them succeed in life or the other place that they're going. So the ROS is built in with everything from advertisement, momentum, your vision, team, analytics, data, numbers, all of it.
Yeah. It's interesting because I, like I said, I've been in corporate America for a very long time, but I interview a lot of people, right? And I have the opportunity to get people that are maybe coming right out of college, or individuals that might be way further along in their career, right? And one of the things I see when I look at resumes, and if I'm in front of somebody, I'm interviewing them, they maybe they're in college, they're trying to get that first job out of college. They underplay how beneficial some of those roles are, right? So that customer service experience of being a waiter or working the front, and you're having to deal with people who are unhappy, to people who are ecstatic, right? So how do you kind of, when you're able to manage that and manage those emotions, there's something to be said by putting that on your resume in a certain way. right?
Oh,
Like, and
absolutely.
don't just toss it aside. It's really great experience that can be
Oh,
leveraged in any
absolutely.
industry.
Because going a little bit first, you gave me chills. I love what you said, and I got the goosebumps because
Yeah.
of what you said, and it's so true. Because if I was, let's say, a software engineer manager, right, and I'm looking at two resumes, two people fresh out of college,
Hmm.
and one has a job of a waiter or some sort of role, and the other person, for whatever reason, this is going to be their first job
Ever.
uh, ever, right?
Yep.
There's a huge difference on accountability, knowledge, communication,
Right.
right? You dealt with angry customers. You
Right.
dealt with a probably mediocre manager, possibly, or you dealt with a manager at all, right?
Yeah.
And this person on the other side did not. And I value waiters to the nth degree because one, like I said, I've been around, I know them. I have family members that are still waiters and still making
Yeah.
a killing. And to be fair, they're sales reps. They
Yes.
are there. Don't get it wrong. They are there to sell you, and they're there to sell you the cheese dip, the guacamole, the
Correct.
appetizer, right? And
Correct.
when you get the steak, it's like, oh, do you want the onions on top,
Uh-huh.
right? Like because
They're the
as a
upsell.
waiter, every upsell goes straight to the bottom line, which is
Correct.
your tip. So
Correct.
the best waiters are the best salespeople, and I value them to the nth degree.
Well, and
So
they bring that creates that return customer, right? So I've worked in retail for a majority of my career. You know, as far as like I'm in corporate America, but with a retail company, and in transportation to boot. So like when we have a restaurant we love going to, my family loves going to. It is our favorite place to go. Shout out to Fusco's in Ackworth, Georgia. It is the bomb. And we have a waitress there that we play tag with. When I say play tag, when we come in, we try to get her table, and it's literally like tag, you're it. And then she'll go and tag somebody in the kitchen, and then somebody else will come by and tag us. Like, but we've created this kind of like fun rapport with this person, and we keep on going back, you know. And then next thing you know, you're going back for your anniversary dinner, and you're going back for, you know, New Year's Eve, and you're going ahead and buying, you know, the bottle of wine and the dessert and the, you know, oh, I'll take that $50, you know, panettone bread because it looks really good, and I'm going to bring it home for Christmas for my Italian father. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, sure, add it
and
on.
it keeps on building up. And
Right.
as a waiter itself, your customers or your clients become an extension of friends and family.
Yes.
And inversely, your clients feel the same way as you as a waiter. And
Right.
you know the difference, at least as operating a restaurant. You know your good waiters to the not so great just by the number of repeat clients and
They
customers
have.
that a
Mhm.
waiter has.
And
If
all of
in
that
a whole
translates.
yes,
You can teach somebody how to code. I could teach somebody how to do transportation and manage a carrier, but you can't teach customer service, problem solving, having that being something that's ingrained right in that person. So I love it. I love that you're like helping business owners in that space. I think it's really, really, really cool.
absolutely.
So I know we're getting close to time, so I'm going to ask one more question.
Please.
Um, if you look back, what would you tell yourself 10 years ago? What kind of advice would you give where you were 10 years ago to that person?
Oh, I hadn't given this question a thought, and I think it's a great question. I think the first thing, and maybe this is a cop out answer, but the first thing that comes to my mind is don't be afraid.
Yeah.
I think for a long time, like for example, and we're gonna tie this in with all the conversation we just had is two things come to mind that I was afraid of as a younger person. Is one, leaving drinking, leaving
Mhm.
alcohol, leaving the beer that I like to drink, and what would people around me say? What would my family say at family gatherings? Oh, you're not gonna drink, blah 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 blah. And I guess being afraid of the thoughts they had about me if I stopped drinking or my friends or whoever. And I think for the longest time I never left uh, drinking beer in this previous life because I was afraid of what people would say.
Mm.
And then the other thing that comes to mind when I say don't be afraid or don't fear is when it comes to the entrepreneurship journey that I've been on. I think for the longest time I was afraid to go out on my own because I've seen what success it can bring. I
Yeah.
also see what the opposite, right? When you have 5, 6 restaurants and you have to let go of the first one and then the next two and then the third one and you're down to the last one and the mental toll it had taken on my father, for example,
Hmm.
and that journey and afraid of failing. So if I could tell little Miguel any advice, is don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Trust your gut and trust yourself. Uh, you know what you have to do, and just go out and do it.
Yeah.
And I think that that is the advice I would give myself.
I love it, and I've really enjoyed having you on. Can you share again what's the best way for people to follow you, reach you, and learn more about hard work discipline?
Yeah, definitely. You see the tags there. We're on all social media platforms at Hard Work Discipline. You can catch us also on hardworkdiscipline.com. And if you want to know more about me and my personal stuff, I post on my personal Instagram, Chavo_3. We post a little bit more business and more content about growing stuff in the Hard Work Discipline channels, but a little bit more about my daughters and personal life gets on the Chavo_3, and I would be happy to answer any questions or answer any thoughts that you have in any of those channels. So feel free to follow us.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Once again, follow at Hard Work Discipline. You can also follow me on Instagram at Mariana_Might in Motion. Uh, Thank you again, Miguel, so much for joining us. And for those of you who have tuned in, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like, comment, and share.
Thank you for tuning into Might in Motion. If you learned something about motivation, momentum, mindfulness, or might, please like, comment, and share. Thank you.